Welcome to Intelligent Think, the podcast in which we explore what makes ideas great, how we can make our thinking better, and why it's so important to share your ideas with the world. Plus, we'll be talking to thought leaders and authors about their own ideas and experiences so you can mine them for gold nuggets that will help you on your own journey. I'm Verity Craft.
And I'm Christina Wedgwood.
And this is Intelligent Think. And see, today I wanted to really dive into the piece of that little podcast intro, which is the why it's so important to share your ideas with the world. Because I think that we often get caught up talking about books or talking about the practicalities, but actually I think sometimes people forget about the power of sharing their ideas with the world and why we care about it so much. So I suppose, how would you sum up our passion for it, or like what our purpose is?
I think there's two pieces. So I think one is, there are lots of people who are doing great work and they deliver amazing services, products, whatever. But they only deliver those products or services to the people that they work with. And if you're a service-based business in particular, you've got the constraints of your calendar and your capacity and sometimes your geography, often your geography for a service, or not always, sometimes, in-person service. And so sharing your ideas more broadly and what sort of led us to thought leadership is the fact that if you can pop your ideas into a format that makes them more available and accessible for others, then other people beyond just who you can currently deliver your services to, they get the benefit of those ideas as well. The other piece of it is, I think, and this is the sort of deeply personal bit that I think lives in, frankly, everybody, is that we all want to be seen and heard and have the fact that we were here and we tried some things and we did some things and we learned some things and we existed. We want that to matter. So I think sharing your ideas is another way of doing that, really. It might sound a bit lofty, but I truly do. I truly think that's why people feel such pride and confidence and stuff in what they do put out there when they know they've done a good offering of their ideas.
Everybody wants to contribute to the world. I think that's the thing. Okay, maybe there are a few exceptions that really are not trying to do anything good in the world, but most of the people that we meet, maybe because we attract nice ones, but most of the people that we meet genuinely want to contribute something positive to the world, right? They want to make some sort of difference. And I think you're right that we want to know that what we did mattered. And I think that's where thought leadership is so powerful, is that, yes, it is an incredible tool for building our reputations and making yourself to be seen as the expert and helping you bring in work and all of those lovely things. But it's also a way of knowing that you put things out into the world that genuinely helped people. There is nothing better than when you get a message from someone being like, oh, I listened to this podcast episode and it sparked this for me, or I read this post that you did and it really unlocked something for me and I've changed my mind. Or for you, I read your book and it gave me so much more confidence. There is something about knowing that what you've put in the world has helped somebody that is so immensely satisfying.
I think we're all trying to make a little dent in the world, and the work that we do is the dent. But I think if you can amplify that or share your ideas or build thought leadership, you make that dent a bit bigger. Yeah. And I think, that's really what we're doing when we help people write books, is make their dent a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's a better way to have a bigger impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love that. I think the other thing to consider, that's obviously the benefits for somebody personally. It's how you feel. It's that you feel like you've made a difference. It's like you feel like you've made a contribution. But actually for the world as a whole, we have a lot of problems that we're facing as a world. And the same thinking that got us into these problems is not going to get us out of them.
We need lots more good ideas.
Yeah. And from different people, maybe some people, as you talked about in your book, people who traditionally wouldn't put themselves forward or wouldn't usually feel confident to share their ideas with the world. Those tend to be the people that we need to hear more from.
Yeah, the people that are, deep experts in their thing as well. I think I said before that in another conversation we had, that creativity is like when you bring these novel things that don't belong together and they make something that works. I think that's what happens when you get deep experts sharing what they know, and there's someone, which may not even be anyone in that group, that can kind of pull all those strands together and be like, aha, or like, what if we tried that thing that's working in that industry, or that that sport or whatever into here, like what could we learn from that? And I think it's only if we share all the stuff that is working and helping and improving and bringing progress and stuff that we all get to use that as fuel.
Yeah, like the best outcomes come from clever brains collaborating and sharing their ideas so that they can bounce off each other.
Totally.
And I think that's a misconception actually about thought leadership, is we think of it as being these people who are up, kind of this genius on a stage who's come up with this amazing idea all by themselves. But, if we go back to our very first podcast episode, which was all about the power of thinking partners,
yes,
like we are firm believers that the best thought leadership, the best books, the best ideas come through collaboration. They come through having people to bounce ideas around with. They come from having people challenge your ideas. And so it's really cool when you see an impact happening in the world, because multiple people, multiple brains, multiple perspectives, multiple backgrounds and experiences, all of those lovely things have come together and kind of created something bigger than they could create by themselves.
And look at even I talk in my book quite a lot about what we can learn from scientists and the way that they think and the way that they approach problems and things. But what you just sparked for me there, which, is not in the book and I've only just thought of it now, is, damn it, edits. No, but it's the fact that, think about the leaders in new thinking and pushing our thoughts and stuff. That is scientists, but it's research, right? And how often do you see far more than one person's name on a piece of research or a study, or they are bringing colleagues from slightly different fields, or that have maybe deeper experience in this aspect of the problem or whatever together, and they're you see 6, 7, 8 names often, okay, maybe not 4 or 5 is quite common though, on a piece of research or a study, because they know that they can all borrow the strengths of each other.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things now, as we've sort of built more of a community and, like people have been through the Better Book Project, is when we see our clients collaborating together as well. Like it gives me so many warm fuzzies. Like Con, who did the Better Book Project, works around culture and engagement and leadership and things. And he brought in Daria, who was another member of the Better Book Project, to specifically run sessions for his clients around strengths, because he could see that like they were very complementary and they could work together, but together they could get to a far greater result. And I think that's a really underestimated benefit of collaborating with people, is like, yes, you get to bounce ideas around and it feels less lonely and all of these things, but also you can achieve so much more. You kind of multiply by each other as opposed to adding to each other. And so I love that element of thought leadership, that like, yes, you might think of thought leadership as being, here's this one person out talking who's the thought leader, but in most cases you'll find like the collaboration or conversations are some of the best things.
Yeah, even the people that are out there talking, they're referencing other ideas and they're referencing other people. None of it has come all from them. And I think too, the spirit that I love about thought leadership is the generosity of it. So there's no room here for guardedness, or there's no need to keep something to yourself because someone else might steal it, or they might take that and run with it further. Because actually, if someone does that with some aspect of what you're thinking, it just confirms that you're on the right path, or it might add something, or it might throw up a different challenge, or it might show where that idea falls down. A whole range of things are possible, but none of them are net negative. So I think, that you don't need to hoard knowledge. There's no hoarding knowledge really anymore. It's all so freely available and accessible. So put the great stuff that you know out there and like reap the benefits of that.
I think that's such a good point. Like, so many people are worried about putting stuff out there that they feel like they should maybe be charging for. But the thing is that everybody has access to as much knowledge as they want now. You know, there are so many tools that can give them all the information they want. The thing that you bring that is really unique is your unique perspective. It is your take on it. It's your experience of it. It's
how your stories intersect with those things.
Yes, exactly. Or the different way that you framed it into a different framework or model that can suddenly be much more useful and more valuable and applicable. And so I think that fear of putting something out there when you should be charging for it, or fear of putting it out there and somebody else taking it, like, I get it and I understand it, but I feel like it's something you just have to overcome if you want to have an impact.
It's become less and less relevant too. And if I can riff on this for a second, we were talking to someone, Elsa and I, this morning, who was like, but, you know, am I saying anything new, or am I saying anything different? And we were like, absolutely. If nothing else, the way you're saying it, and that's why I said the stories that it intersects with, you know, the package that she has for this idea is vastly different from the one that anyone else can have. But we talked a little bit about the fact that actually so many ideas are reruns of, I'm talking about like the big core piece is a rerun of another very, like, it's all simple and it's all done and it's all already there. Elsa brought up she's like, you know, think about like themes or main messages of movies or whatever. It's playing on a handful of the same things, always played out time and time and time and time and time again. So, you know, that doesn't need to be a fear. Like, we have to hear or see something just countless times for it to connect, and someone's going to connect at a different point or for a different reason with a different person's telling of it. I said, look, you think about start with why, right? Like, nobody was like, wow, that was revolutionary. But look at the movement that Simon Sinek created around a simple, had been done before idea. He brought it to us in a different way with his experience, his way of telling it, and it flew.
Yeah. I will say some people I think did find that revolutionary when it came out. But I get what you mean. And I think, like, I was reading an article the other day that was kind of a piss take on, are all self-help books the same? Which I did find quite funny, and I've saved because I might write a post about it. But I thought what was really interesting was, you know, it identified that most self-help books kind of drill down to a lot of the same concepts, and they often are saying a similar thing. But it is all about getting someone at the right time, talking to the right person. You know, it's why we spend so much time getting people's audience right for their books, because actually if you know who you're talking to when it comes to your book and in general for your thought leadership, then you are going to have a far greater impact on them because you're speaking to what they need specifically.
And I think if you know where they are, or what the trigger is that's going to make them engage with your ideas as well, or what's going to make them pick up your book, that's the sort of little supercharged piece of the who they are.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the key. It's what you said around, you know, repeating an idea can feel really boring. We can get sick of our own voices. We can get sick of our own ideas. But in reality, people need to hear a message a lot of times before it sinks in. I can read a book 5 times and get something really different out of it every single time I read it, because of where I am, because of the state that I'm in, because of what I needed to get out of it at that moment. And I can follow somebody for literally years, and then all of a sudden one day something will click and will completely change the way that I think. And so I think when it comes to sharing your ideas and when it comes to building thought leadership, it's not about assuming I have to get this right so that it transforms every person that reads it the first time that they read it. It's about actually repeating some of those ideas and sharing them in different ways so that they hit at the right time in the right way and change somebody's thinking, or change the way they feel, or change what they're willing to do, because that's how you create impact. It's not through doing something brilliantly once. It's through doing it again and again and again. and sharing those ideas really generously and freely so that they hit at the right time.
And I think it's an offer. It's an offering, putting your ideas out there, and it's an invitation. And that's all you can do. And you keep inviting people, right, to enroll or engage with some little piece of that. And I used to say, when we were pre-book stuff, when we were focused on thought leadership, I used to say, if you feel like you have been banging that drum too long, or if you're getting sick of like your own self saying that, you're probably only just starting to get some traction. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is nobody else is just being washed with all of your information as you're putting it out. So, you know, do it abundantly. Like, they'll find the bits they need.
And do it in different ways as well, I think, is the other key. So, you know, people engage with ideas and content and information in really different ways. So, you know, film that video. I know that's not comfy for everyone, but like, film the video, write the article, write the book. Damn it, write the book. You know, like, put out short posts, create models and frameworks that are visual, tell stories, like, you know, give examples, put in the research, because actually the more aspects that an idea has, the more backup or the more robust an idea is, and the more that you can communicate that in different ways to people, the more it is likely to get cut through, both in terms of having an impact and in terms of you being seen as an expert, because people really see you as knowing your stuff, and they really respect you and your particular unique take on it.
Totally.
I feel like the other element of sharing your ideas and building thought leadership, and why it's so important that we share your ideas with the world, that we kind of touched on at the start of this, is get your contribution out of the shadows. You know, we all know that everybody wants to contribute and make a difference, and especially the people that we work with and talk to and that tend to follow us. We don't tend to attract people who are solely interested in money. We're probably not the right fit for those people. But they're so often doing amazing work and having a real impact on a few people that they're talking to, but are so scared to like put it out there and take it out there, because they feel like they're putting themselves out there. Like, they might feel like they're being a show off, or they might worry that if they put things out there before they're perfect, that, you know, that can have a real impact. You wrote a whole book about this.
I was going to say, I've got lots to say. I've got lots to say about the reluctance, because, you know, like 60, 70 odd thousand words to say about it. But no, one of the things, Miriam actually shared this recently, Miriam Chancellor, she's a speaking coach and trainer, and she said, show up to give. And I think that's the thing. We worked for a long time with Russell Pickering too, who works in a similar space to Miriam, training people to communicate verbally, speaking wise, better, in like organizations. And he would often say, like, it's not about you, it's about what you're there to do. And if you show up primarily just to provide some value, then you can sort of turn down the self-consciousness that needs to come with that. And it's worked for me. This is not my natural habitat, but I'm like, actually, if this sparks something for someone or inspires someone, I don't need to think about how I'm holding my hands or whether I got those words jumbled or whatever else. It's not about me. The fact that I'm sharing these ideas is not about me. It's about the ideas.
The biggest difference between a thought leader and an influencer, in my opinion, is that the biggest difference between a thought leader and an influencer is that a thought leader is kind of a vessel for impact. So yes, they are the person out there sharing the idea. Yes, they are the person writing the book. They are the person hosting the podcast. They are the person speaking on stage. They are the person talking about things on social media. But it is in virtue of having an impact, getting an idea out, helping people, sharing a message that is really important, versus an influencer, in my opinion, and maybe this is a little bit judgy, but an influencer is someone who is just trying to build an audience. And that is valid. Like, that is a valid way to, build connection with people, to build a community, and potentially build a business as well. But I think if you genuinely care about having an impact, then thought leadership is the way that you are the vessel for that impact. And so I think taking out that worry of, I'm going to look like an influencer, I'm going to look like I'm showing off, I'm going to look as though I'm just trying to put myself at the center of this. The way to do that is reframing it as like, I am the channel through which my message can come. I'm the channel through which my ideas can get out to people. Because frankly, people don't pay that much attention to brands. Like, some maybe, but really, they don't kind of care what your business does. They really care about what you think, though.
I've often said that it's a vehicle. Thought leadership is merely a vehicle. It's not it's the means to an end. And yeah, I think you're right. It's the showing up in service of a purpose. You've got a purpose, which is to make something better for other people. And there's generosity, like I said, in that too.
Yeah, I think it's a really important thing to recognize, is that when you share your ideas, you are being really generous. And like, yes, you want it to help you build your business and your reputation and all of those things as well. And those two things can coexist. They are not mutually exclusive. You can have an impact and build a business at the same time.
And in fact, often when you do, you get to grow a bigger business that can have a bigger impact.
Exactly.
Or you're better resourced to have a bigger impact.
Exactly.
Too, so.
Exactly. But I think when you stop thinking of it as a marketing tool, because although it is very closely linked to marketing, it is not the same thing. You actually need both in your business. But when you stop thinking of thought leadership and of sharing your ideas as a marketing tool, and you start thinking of it as, how can I give as much value as I can? How can I leave a legacy? How can I provide a contribution? It becomes much easier to stay the course and keep doing it, because you're not just always thinking, oh God, I have to share my ideas because someone's told me I have to. And, you're sharing them because you genuinely want to help somebody. And, we notice that with books all the time, when they're really, author is really, really clear on their purpose for writing the book and who it's going to help and why it's going to help them and what the journey is that they want to take them on. It's way easier to stay the course than when they just think of it as, oh, this is something I've been told I should do.
Yeah. I think too, there are lots of, I talk a lot about showing up authentically. And I think that does quite a lot to diffuse the worry about sharing your ideas too. There are lots of, if it feels a bit icky, do it in an unicky way. Do it in a you way. And that can be really humble and really inquiring and really collaborative and really, so if those things feel like a better mode, start there.
Yeah, our friend Bill Sherman from Thought Leadership Leverage often talks about the fact that if you've got an idea that you're really comfortable with, maybe start to push yourself in how you share it. So share it in different formats. But if you're still feeling unconfident, if you've got something that you're still working through, start with where you're comfy, If you are someone who's comfier writing, then write something to begin with about that idea. If you are someone who, like me, does actually find it easier to be on video sometimes, then start there, or whatever it is, speaking on stage or, having a conversation with someone, having a panel discussion. Start with where you're comfy and then build up to some of the other elements as you gain confidence, because you gain confidence through action.
Yep, doing the thing.
I feel like we've gone off in a million directions today.
We have. Did we hit what you wanted?
I guess so. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really plan for this one, so I think it's probably, I just wanted to see where our brains would go, which is always half of the fun.
Mine lost the plot somewhere there for a moment. You were looking at me going like, man, is she going to land this plane or what?
I worry that every time. No,
every time I open my mouth.
We always get somewhere interesting in the end anyway.
You just have to stick with me.
Well, for those of you who are listening and have stuck with us till the end, this is probably going to be our last episode for this year. You might be listening to this well past the year, and so this might make zero sense to you. So because of that, we wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who has listened, who has watched. There's a few people watching on YouTube. Everyone who's shared, everyone who's commented or sent us messages. We've gotten some really amazing messages. I certainly don't think we've got loads and loads of people listening, but the ones who are seem to be really engaged. And so we're really, really grateful for that, and really grateful for all of the feedback and things that we've gotten, and to all of our amazing guests who've come on as well. So thanks for coming along on the ride with me, C. We'll be back at some point, but we'll take a break for now, I think, because let's be honest, we have families. We don't need to do podcasts the whole year round. But we'll be back. So thanks for being the sparring partner.
Thanks for pushing me out of my comfort zone.
You have been listening to Intelligent Think with Verity Craft and Christina Wedgwood. Thanks to Lochner Media for our video production, Jeff Ong for our theme music, and to you for listening. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Let us know what you found interesting. And here's to better thinking together.